A couple of NFT marketplaces last month went rogue and decided that creator royalties are completely optional or unnecessary, and it sparked a huge debate in the NFT community about the role of royalties. Beeple, the prolific artist, stated that as royalties are not enforceable on chain, creators have to build a base that wants to honor those royalties. There's no way around it. But what can you as an artist do about it? GM, welcome to Web3 Club. In today's video, what we're going to learn is how do you make sure that your NFT collection trades only with the approved marketplaces or doesn't trade with unapproved marketplaces, so that you're always working with the marketplaces that allow you to get your royalties. This is a video that I was resisting myself to make, but I decided finally to make because this video is kind of like adding censorship to your smart contract. But hopefully, if we do this multiple times and if this is something that the market wants, what will happen is marketplaces will have to adapt if a bunch of NFT collections, new NFT collections, stop trading on the marketplaces which don't support royalties. So I hope in the long run this gets some change out there and we are back to the utopia that we had earlier created. But before we get started, please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. If you want to send me a message, please leave it in the YouTube comments. I also have an email that is available in my YouTube's about section on the desktop, I believe. So if you want to work together, please use that email ID. If you have a specific question, come join my Discord server. There are a bunch of people just like you and me who are trying to help each other out. Alright, with that said, let's get started. X2Y2 is an NFT marketplace which is letting buyers avoid royalty payments, and creators are not pleased. Of course, they will not be pleased. Similarly, there's another marketplace called SudoSwap. This marketplace also has removed royalties for the creators. And these two marketplaces are getting a lot of market share because sellers want to sell there because, of course, they get to make some 7.5% more or 5% more or something like that. But this is not good for you as a creator because a lot of the NFT businesses are relied on the royalty income that they receive whenever their NFTs get sold on either OpenSea or LooksRare or some other compliant NFT marketplace. So in today's video, what we are going to do is we are going to see two techniques with which we can avoid these marketplaces. First, we will create a mapping where we have the allowed marketplaces. Only those will be allowed to get the approval for basically transferring these NFTs. And the second one where we will have a block list of marketplaces which will not have access to transferring these NFTs. So two different approaches, both are sort of censorship, but again, sometimes unnecessary evil. This is not something that I think we would have liked to do, but this is something that probably helps out artists make a living, so we might have to do. Alright, so the first thing that we do is come to OpenZeppelin, get a mintable auto-incrementing NFT and just open it in Remix. Now that we have it here, let's just go and click auto compile so that it just compiles for us. Now you need to understand that ERC721 has two functions, one called approve and the other called set approver for all. So what we need to do is override those functions and make sure that only the thing that we want to be approved is approved. So how do I override those functions? So this one way is write function approve address to UN256 ID. Alright, so this is to approve a specific token, and this is a public virtual override function. Now what I need to do is just call super.approve with to and ID. If I just do this, I haven't really made any changes, right? Now what I want to do is add a require statement over here. And let me just increase the font size. So I want to add the require statement over here where we will make sure that the to is either a part of the list or not a part of a blacklist. All right. So the first approach that we will do is take the whitelist approach. So what we will do is just write a mapping of address and boolean. And here we have this mapping, let's say private. Or we can actually make it public as well. I don't know, there's no reason why we don't need to make it public. and then add allowed marketplaces. Okay, now this is a mapping that we want to either allow or disallow the users to use. Now what we will do over here is write require allowed marketplaces to. If it is allowed, only then we move forward, otherwise we throw an error, invalid marketplace. So if it is not part of the allowed marketplace, what we say is that it is an invalid marketplace, that is not allowed. The other function that we need to override is called a function called set approval for all, and then we have address operator and I believe boolean approved. This is also public, virtual and overridden. Now in this function also we just called super dot set approval for all, and we add the operator and approved over here. Now again, this function right now doesn't do anything. Now what we do is we add a require statement with allowed marketplaces for 2, and then we write invalid marketplace not allowed. All right, the same message that I had written over there. And actually this should not be 2, it should be operator. Great. So these are the 2 functions that we wanted to add. We want to add one more function which basically changes the allowed marketplace variable, and for that what we'll do is create a new function called set allowed marketplace. Okay, and then we have an address for the marketplace and a boolean called allowed. Okay, so if this is set to false, then we set that to false. If it is allowed is set to true, then we set it to true. So now what we do is allowed marketplace with the marketplace over here, and then add allowed over here. Now what this does is that once there is a marketplace that we want to allow, let's say we want to allow OpenSea because it honors the creator royalty, what we will do is we will add the OpenSea's smart contract address in the marketplace and then set allowed to true. Now if you want to disallow x2 y2, what we'll do is we'll add the x2 y2's address over here, and the allowed will be set to false. So by default everything is set to false, and only if we set it to true, it sort of gets set to true. So by default everything is like nothing is allowed to be approved. The only thing that will be allowed is the ones that we set. And this, because this is a very dangerous function, what you will do is make sure that this function is only owner, so the only owner can call this function. All right, and that is it. By this doing this, like once you've done this, you will not allow x2 y2 or some other marketplaces which don't honor your royalty to sort of work. So what you will do is you will set their address over here and set this to false. If you forget anything and there's a new marketplace just comes up and starts listing, you don't need to worry because everything by default is set to false. Okay, so require function, whenever it receives a false value over here, it gives us an error. If it receives true value, it just moves forward. And we set this allowed marketplace with this function which only the owner can call, which is ideally you. Okay, so the next thing that we do is we basically test this out. Let me just select London over here and deploy this my token. Now once this my token is deployed, you can see that this is deployed. If you see the token URI for, let's say, 1, it doesn't exist, or 0, that also doesn't exist. So the first thing that we'll do is we'll mint an NFT for ourselves, let's say with this. Okay, so I transact and I have now received an NFT which is of the token ID 0. All right, so I have an NFT. Now how the flow works is you go to OpenSea and OpenSea says, hey, allow this collection to be approved to sell this NFT. So what you do is you call set approval for all on your own smart contract, and you set the operator as the address of OpenSea or x2y2 or LuxRare or whichever marketplace, and you set approved to true. Okay, now what happens is, because we don't have anything in allowed marketplaces, every address that we set will be set to false. So let's say we use this address and we want to see if this address is allowed. With the allowed marketplaces, we can figure out the value is false. Now what we're going to do is, let's say we want to approve all. Okay, for my address I want to approve all, so that I allow this specific address to transfer my NFTs, to sell my NFTs, to, you know, I want to trust this as a marketplace. Now if I click transact, you can see that I received an error because it was not allowed. All right, so if this was a perfectly valid NFT marketplace, what you will do is, you as the owner of the NFT smart contract, you will go to this function called set allowed marketplace. You will paste their address and set this to true. All right, you click transact and it works. Now if you click transact for set approval for all, you will see that it has succeeded. And also if you see the allowed marketplaces, it returns true now. All right, so this is how approval works. And now this specific address can transfer my NFT to somebody else. So this is a allow listing way, a whitelisting way to basically move forward with approvals. Only the allow listed NFT marketplaces are allowed to get an approval to transfer the NFT. This is censorship, but it might be required for you. So this was method number one. You have to basically whitelist, allow list every single marketplace that you want to allow to basically transfer your NFTs. Not the ideal way, but something that works. Another way that we can do is, let's just copy this smart contract and create a new file. And now in this file, I paste the same code, but what I will do is take a different approach, which is for blocking marketplaces that I don't want to allow. I'll just change this to blocked marketplaces. I will change again this to blocked marketplaces with a negative value over there. Final place that I want to add this to is here and here. Okay, so now the code is a bit different. It takes a blocklisted approach. So everything by default is set to false. Everything is not blocked. All right, so whenever you want to block something, you send a true value over here. Now in the require, we check whether the value is set to false, because if it is set to false, the inverse of false will give us true. So require will be like, okay, it is true because the value was false, and we give the inverse value back to the require statement, so we get a true, and require moves forward. So by default, everything is allowed. Now you as the NFT smart contract collection owner, what you will do is, you will set blocked marketplaces, and you will set that by calling this method. You will one by one block each marketplace. So now let me go and deploy this. Once this is deployed over here, you can see that we have a function set blocked marketplaces. We have set approval for all and everything. All right, so let's just mint one more NFT this time. I'm going to again mint it to myself by pasting here, and I've minted one. There's a set approval for all. Let's say I want to approve this time the third address. All right, so I can check first whether this is blocked or not. So I paste here and call, and it says false, the address is not blocked. So this time if I go for set approval for all and set this to true, this works. It does not give me an error. And now this specific address, this third address, you can see they can transfer my NFT to somebody else. But now let's say there's another marketplace which is malicious, and we want to block this marketplace. So we copy their address and we paste it over here and set the blocked to true, and now we transact. So I blocked this marketplace. Now if I copy this address and paste it over here, and now if I try to approve this, the transaction sort of fails because this marketplace is not allowed because it was blocked. And you can see over here, if I paste this address, it says true, the marketplace has been blocked. And there you go. This is how you censor marketplaces which are not in the spirit of crypto. Although censorship is again not in the spirit of crypto, but that's just the nature of business. Things keep moving from and to, and there's no such thing as extreme censorship. There's no such thing as complete censorship. There's no such thing as complete freedom. Similarly, we have a way to sort of censor some transactions, some approvals, some users, some marketplaces, and whatnot. As much as this is helpful, I hope this will not be abused in the future. As always, all the links are present, all the codes are present in the description down below. Thank you so much for watching the video till the end. If you like this video, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. There's nobody subscribing these days. I don't know what's happening. If you want to send me a message, leave it in the YouTube comments down below. If you want to send me a mail, if you want to discuss some partnership, there's my email present in the about section of my YouTube channel. And if you have a specific question, come join my Discord server. There are a bunch of people just like you and me who are trying to help each other out. And please let me know what you think about these kind of tutorials. They are sort of not really the standard, but they sort of help you out with some specific thing. And what are your views on this kind of censorship? I would love to know. Please let me know in the YouTube comments down below. I hope to see you again next week. Till then, bye bye.